blog viewers. We're going to continue with our wisdom post today. Continue with our wisdom series, and make more remarks on the distinction between pure form and substance. I'm doing this because I think at its deepest level, wisdom is the proper distinction and appreciation of the difference between pure form and pure substance. So I want to spend yet another post on it because I think it's so important and critical to almost all the other virtues and of course to wisdom itself. And so we'll spend more time on pure form and substance today. Now, the unwritten universe is strictly pure substance. There is no verbal form within the one everything. All the motions of the planets, all the stars, all matter in the universe, and all reactions, equations occurring within the universe proceed without any mind-made form or in the intervention of any mind-made form of any sort, verbal form. There are only unwritten laws, and they are immediately, automatically self-executed by unwritten reality. The unwritten doesn't care at all whether it's a human being it is executing its laws upon, an ant, or a rock. It's absolutely the same to the unwritten. It's just a bunch of mass composed of various elements that unwritten reality is acting upon without any thought at all. And gravity is always probably the best example of how the unwritten operates. It is 100% dependable and errorless. For example, have we ever thought about, have you or have I ever thought about why the air we breathe and the water we drink has remained on the earth for billions of years, why it hasn't just floated off into space? And the reason for that, it's not because it's just automatically programmed that way. It's because gravity every second is literally, every second of every day, is literally pulling on the air and pulling it down, and pulling on the water and pulling it down, and keeping it here on Earth for us. Otherwise, it would just be floating off into space, and life could not exist. And this has been a 100% dependable process all along. In the same way, another example, have we ever wondered why we, as humans, why we don't simply float off into space, pulled off by the gravitational pull of the sun, which is actually many, many times more massive than the Earth, and therefore has far more gravity? At any time, we're subject to both the gravitational pull of the sun and that of the Earth. So the question is, why don't we go floating off into the sun? And the answer there, again, is not just because it's an automatic right, or it's just that's how it is. It's because there's a specific force operating that prevents that. And it's because the gravitational force is also a function of distance. So we are right here on Earth, very close to the gravitational force of the Earth and the gravitational center of the Earth, but we're some 93 million miles from the Sun. So the gravitational force of the Earth on us is far more dominant, far more strong than that of the Sun. And so this too is completely dependable and errorless, and that's why we are always, stuck to the ground. So in light of this, how anyone could not see the unwritten and its 100% dependability and errorlessness as supremely good is really beyond me. And if that is true, we are always surrounded by infinities of good, literally all the molecules and all the equations and laws, all the stars that pull on us, especially the sun, and provide and stream in energy to the earth. All of this should be categorized as good. And so we are literally surrounded at all times by good, which is a really important and comforting thought, I would say, if when properly appreciated. Now, as opposed to the unwritten universe, which is strictly doing pure substance, we have, as written creatures, each one of us has a mind. Obviously, we each have our own mind, and I strongly believe that you either use it or lose it, and that's certainly the case with the body and certain functions it can perform, and I think it's also the case with the mind. And so if a person is healthy and psychologically stable, a person can use their mind to establish a whole bunch of personal laws that they are going to similarly follow without hesitation, almost automatically, and in a sort of self-executing manner as well. No one is reminding you or watching you over you to follow these laws. You're just doing them because you've brought it into yourself as a self-made law. You've created it for yourself. You've willed yourself that you're going to continue to enforce this law upon yourself, because you've thought it through using your mind, and you've established it as supremely important for your well-being. So it's become a self-made law. So the question is, with respect to those laws, what is going to be the foundation? What are you going to use as the foundation of those laws? What is your mind going to use to make these laws? And I would say, for all practical purposes, there are either two choices. You can use pure form, the stuff of pure form, or you can use the stuff of pure substance to make these laws up for yourself. Laws which, again, are going to dictate how you're going to act, and will be self-executed and put into place immediately when certain situations present themselves. So the mind can take either route. Can use the stuff of pure form, or you can use the stuff of pure substance. And it can do either. It has the power to do either. But I'm going to argue in the rest of the post that, through an example, that the consequences of taking one route over the other are very different. With pure form, you starting off with pure form, and what happens is you actually create a self-law out of nothing, out of no information. It's not just that you have some sort of stale information, or you don't have enough information, or the information that you used was accurate but now it's wrong. It's that you're literally making a law for yourself without any information, without one single iota of information. It's amazing that anyone would do this, particularly when the self-law is with respect to a significant aspect of their life. Where to go to college, where to live, who to love, what career to pursue, which friends to maintain, all this stuff. And it's amazing that anyone would create a self-law out of pure form, out of pure nothing. But it happens, and I think it happens all the time. And I think it's a problem. And I want to give an example to sort of flesh this out a little bit. Let's say someone is deciding, someone decides they want to move to New York City, which they've never visited. And it's because they think the, quote, energy of the city there is much better than where they're living now. Say they're living in Topeka, Kansas, for the example. You can flip the example. You could have someone that wants to go to California because they think life in California is more chill, or people are more relaxed, or whatever. It doesn't matter what the exact example is, but you get the point. Now, it doesn't matter if this person had this thought on their own, or if they picked it up from somewhere else, maybe in a book, they read that, or in a conversation with someone. Whatever it is, at its current level, basically a person deciding to move somewhere because they think the energy of that city is better, quote, energy. Whatever it is, wherever it was gotten, this is an example, the mind doing pure form. The mind has just created, out of nothing, the idea that people in New York have more, quote, energy, which is to say the mind went ahead and caused you to believe in an idea, causes you to affirm an idea as true, for which you actually lack any actual observational experience of your own. Remember that in this example, the person has never visited New York. The person lacks any information, no sort of actual observational experience to confirm this belief of energy in this city, but goes ahead and believes that and makes an important decision based on that to move. And again, the issue here is pretty clear. Is if the person thought about it more, they would have been suspicious about that characterization. What does it mean that people in New York or a city has more, quote, energy? Are people in New York City, are they emitting photons of energy or producing thermonuclear reactions in their stomach? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The statement is meaningless. But if you act on it or believe it, although meaningless, your mind is doing pure form, and I think it's usually not good. Now, with pure substance, what happens is you create a self-law out of pure substance, out of unwritten information that streams in errorlessly through your senses and goes to your mind. And this is all on the basis of your personal experience. So it's pure substance, which is being sort of gathered with respect to unwritten information streaming into your mind. And it's all based on your personal experience. I don't think in this scenario you're never going to gather, you're never going to have all of the pure substance or unwritten information that would be relevant to your decision. You're never going to have it because there are infinities of it, and you just can't gather all of it. And it would be cumbersome to do it. It would be self-defeating to do it. You might spend 40 years of life trying to gather all the information, and then it's too late for the decision anyway. So you're not going to gather all of it, but you can gather a good deal of it through personal experience, enough that you can satisfy yourself that you've made a reasonable decision at the time. So you're not going to make a perfect, foolproof decision, but you're going to make a reasonable decision based on information and based on pure substance that you're gathering, based on your personal experience. So take the same example, same person, same desire to move to New York because they think the energy of the people in the city is better there. But in this example, before the person moves, they go there and stay in New York for a month. They visit all the boroughs. They are out sort of 15, 16 hours a day, visiting everything, visiting museums, restaurants, bars, sporting events, office centers, subways, theaters, concerts, parks. I mean, everything in the city, talking to people, taking the public transportation, and just getting a real sense of what the city is like every day for a month. The person's in doing this, you're going to see a lot of people everywhere doing things. You're going to talk with each other. You're going to see people busy with various projects. You're going to see what they're involved in. You're going to see new ways people are doing things. You hear new and different thoughts expressed that you've never heard before, and you see different sort of concerns that people have in the city as opposed to Topeka. And during the entire trip, you're staying super attentive to the environment around you. You're not goofing off on your cell phone or listening to music or engage in some other activity that would sort of take all your mental attention away. Maybe who knows. But you're staying attentive. You're staying attentive to what's happening around you and the information that's there for you to use to make a good decision. And because you're so attentive during your trip, you, in addition to noticing various positive things that confirm your initial idea that the city has more energy, you also notice some negative things about the city. You don't like trash in the streets, certain smells, the cost and expense of everything in the city, certain fast-paced demeanor people have with people there, sort of direct and blunt conversation. Maybe you don't like all that, but you decide all in all you're willing to live with those things in exchange for all the stuff you have personally experienced and personally observed that you knew you liked about the city. So at this point you move to New York because you believe the activity level and the range of activities possible for you in New York are much greater than Topeka. And you can tolerate the negatives. So you've attended to what I would say positive streaming in information, and you've attended to negative streaming in information. You've taken both of them seriously. You've made the decision that the positive streaming information outweighs the negative, and you're willing to go forward with the decision. And in all of this, in this example, the second example, I would say this is the mind doing pure substance, involved in an activity of pure substance and making a decision based on pure substance. So which decision is likely to be better? And I think it's clear to see that the second would be. But why? I think why, because you're likely to end up being disappointed if the bubble of pure form you've created for yourself pops in the first example. It's hard to maintain faith in pure form because outside of sort of simply adopting willful blindness to everything that's happening around you, you simply can't stop information that's streaming into your mind constantly as substance that is inconsistent with the pure form your mind is creating. So you get to in the example, you get to New York and realize you had just sort of imagined there was more energy there, that in fact people are stressed out there from overwork and competing with each other over titles, promotions, and pay, and all of this leaves them super exhausted and in fact with no energy. You see that there are in fact a lot of people out and about, but that's only because the population of the city is so huge. And so there's always going to be a lot of people because it's just a big city. But it's not because the individual inhabitants have more energy or more likely to go out. It's just there's a lot more people. It has nothing, tells you nothing about the individual character of the people. You also then notice that rent is super expensive in any of the places that are bustling about with activity, and you can't afford to live there unless you work almost 24/7. Meaning you can't, even if there is a lot of activity and there is a lot of energy, you can't participate in it because you're working all the time. And all of this is pure substance as information that is continually popping the bubble of pure form that you had created for yourself when you were in Topeka and you imagined New York as being a city with more energy. And all of this information you would have gotten had you visited New York and been attentive before you made this decision. So all this information pops the bubble of pure form, like literally like pop. And I think when that happens, you're going to be very disappointed. You're going to see the error, but it's going to be then you have to, if it's obviously at that point you have to undo the damage and undo the sort of decision. So it's better to, I would say, obviously better to attend to it in the beginning and prevent these kinds of errors which could have happened had the mind sort of not done pure form to begin with. And so I think, again, this post, and along with some of the others, I think is building on this idea, which I want to continue to stress, of pure form and substance, and pure substance, and understanding the two, understanding how easy it is to get caught up in pure form, how easy it is to abdicate to pure form, and how basically in today's world it's not necessary anymore. It's not like if we were, if someone was living 5,000 years ago on an island and had no access to nothing, no books, no internet, no nothing, and was alone, maybe you could say, oh, this person, they need to do pure form, because they don't have really. There's not much they can. They have to imagine basically what's outside the island. What's on the island they could always attend to in terms of pure substance, but you could say, okay, with respect to the outside world, this person has really no access to it, so maybe they have to do pure form. There's no other choice. But now we don't live in that world. You can go to New York. You can go on the internet and learn a lot of things. You can look up a lot of data from the government or wherever else, data collectors on certain aspects of life in New York, and it's all there. It's all there to be used. You can take a flight and visit. You can talk to people that live there, and you can go there yourself and easily and get the information you need. So I think, as opposed to that scenario of the guy on the island with no access to nothing, I don't think there's any need anymore to engage in much pure form, because the information is literally there for everyone to use if they're interested in it. So and if they think it's important. So with that, I'm going to end today's post. Talk to you soon. Bye.